Hello, my friends. Welcome to my yoga series, Strengthen to Lengthen, where we venture to take on some challenging yoga postures and focus on how to adapt them gradually for our body. Today, we'll shimmy on into Upavishta Konasana, or wide angle seated forward fold, or I like to say wide splits. There's a real focus on the adductors here, so stretching out the inner thighs. However, as we endeavor to fold forward, we'll also need to check in with the hamstrings and the muscles up and down the spine. Try not to push past your edge or your limit. It can be very tempting to, but we'll probably find more good sensation if we hold back and take our time. So let's roll out the mat and dive in. Okay, everyone, let's start this one again, all fours in the middle of the mat, and we're going to really focus on these inner thighs, getting them strong to get them nice and long. So hands and knees, middle of the mat, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, regular little cat-cow. I just swear by this move to mobilize the spine, get it nice and warmed up for some movement ahead of us. You can roll the hips from side to side, also maybe tilt the hips over to one side and then the other, then look over that shoulder. Notice how you're feeling right now. And this is a bit of a tricky area for a lot of us because it's not just about opening up the inner thighs. It's also about kind of opening up through the belly as well. And then if we're going to take a forward fold, which this particular position is, wide leg forward fold, seated version, then we also want to work into the hamstrings and the glutes and the back of the body. So there's quite a lot to it. So we've already done loads with this Strengthen to Lengthen series already, working into some forward folds and into some back bends. But this is really targeting that inner thigh groin region right now. So in this all fours position, I want you to take your left foot out to the side. Straighten up that left leg while the right knee is on the floor. And we're going to inhale, arch the spine, tilt the tailbone up towards the sky. And this is going to really get the hamstrings, back of the legs. And then keep that slight tilt, but start to shift your bum back towards your right heel. I like to keep the toes tucked so the heel is risen. And you can just rock this forward and back with the hamstrings in a sort of state of tension, which is a bit of stretch. Rock forward and back, press down through your left little toe if possible. Totally fine if it's not completely down. As I know, sometimes that stretch down the outside of the shin can be quite a challenge. And if you want to, you can also, when you shift back onto your heels, hold it there, walk your fingers out a little bit further in front of you, lengthen through the spine and let the arms become this kind of extension of the spine. Hold that there. Keep the right hand or fingertips on the floor. How about try taking the left hand either onto the left ankle, shin, or maybe across to the foot. So left hand is grabbing the left leg of some sort, right hand out in front of you. Hips stay tilted up towards the sky as much as possible and back towards the right heel. Hold it there, breathe in. And then exhale, bring your forearms down to the floor in front of you and rock forward and back from there. So the chest is kind of dropping forward towards your thumbs, bum back towards your heels. So this is kind of getting that forward fold sensation as well. And then we're going to take this to the other side. So walk your hands back up to center. Bring your left knee in. And then we'll take it to the other side. I'm going to go slightly diagonal on so you can kind of see from a different angle. Right foot out to the side. Press down your right little toe. Tuck the back toes, the left toes, and rock back and forward. Tilt the tailbone up towards the sky. Just get that mobility. I've got a clicky old knee here. Get the mobility in the inner thighs and the hips. Oh, doesn't hurt, just sounds great. Now hold it back there. Walk the fingertips out in front of you. Press down through the right little toe. Let the hips sit back towards the left heel. Now keep the left hand where it is. Take the right hand onto your ankle, shin, maybe the foot. And if you want to, you can always let the head drop. How does it feel? Where are you feeling this the most at the moment? What exactly is that sensation? And then bring your forearms out in front of you and rock your chest forward and back. With the tailbone up towards the sky still. One more breath in. Exhale, walk your hands back up. Bring your right knee underneath your right hip again. Notice the feeling. And whilst we're on our hands and our knees, we're going to come into a position called tadpole. So it's slightly different to child's pose. So untuck your toes, so your feet touch, and your thighs are going to open out as wide as you're happy to take them. Now, bear in mind, if you're doing this on wooden floor, it might be a little bit more uncomfortable. So I want your thighs to go out as wide as you're happy to take them and lower down onto your forearms. Now try and tilt the tailbone up towards the sky. And sit your bum back towards your heels. Now, not completely. There's still like a little lift between the heels and the bum. Forearms on the floor. Inhale, try and lift your chest forward. And then exhale, you can always walk your hands a little bit further out in front of you, chest towards the ground. Now, don't pressure yourself to look exactly the same as me. We're trying to keep the sensation going through the inner thighs and the groin. So if you're letting the hips just completely flop down, we're probably not getting that same sensation. We want to still have that little lift in the tailbone, like there's a string pulling up through the sit bones. And then just take a few more breaths where you are. I love this pose personally. For others, people, it may be a horror show, but take a moment, breathe in. Exhale, walk your hands back underneath your shoulders and press up. Press the chest up, squeeze the thighs together. Excellent work. Hands out in front of you, lift the hips up. Let's come into downward facing dog. Pedal out your heels one at a time, relax your head. Inhale, lift your right leg up towards the sky. Point the right toes, bend the right knee, open up the hips. And then bring your right knee towards your chest. Step the right foot through between your hands. We'll go for a twist. I like to rise up onto the left fingertips as it gives me a little bit more lift away from the front leg. Reach the right arm up over the head and circle the right arm around. And take that again. Inhale, reach the right arm up over the head. Exhale, right arm down. We're going to come to Skandasana, which is our side lunge or ninja lunge. Walk the hands in towards the left side of the room. Now stay bent into the right knee. You can have your hands on the floor for the moment as we set ourselves up. Now try this. How does it feel to flex the left foot? If this is agony, you can always have the toes down and the hips slightly higher. If your right heel is coming off the floor, it is no big deal. No big deal at all. That will just depend on the Achilles heel, the ligament in the ankle, or all a little bit different here. Now, eventually, once you're in this sort of side lunge, can you hover the hands off the floor? Now, I want us to build some power in this right thigh, preferably up on your back heel, or you're flexing the foot. But again, if it hurts, we adjust. Now, press down through both of your heels. Inhale, try and rise all the way up. Exhale down, as low as you can go. Inhale, rise up. Exhale down. One more time, inhale, rise up. Exhale down. Lost my balance for a moment there. Now hold it nice and low. Reach the arms out in front of you. And then we're going to take it back to the front of the room into our twist. Left hand down, pivot up onto your back tiptoe, circle the right arm all the way up and around just one time. And bring your right hand down, straighten up your front leg as much as you're happy to with your fingertips on the floor. Rise right up onto your back tiptoe and exhale, bend the elbows and let your belly drop forward over your front thigh for a moment in this forward fold. Bend the knees, plant the hands to the ground, step the right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple forward into high plank. Exhale, ripple back, downward facing dog. Inhale, lift your left leg up to the sky. Point the toes, bend the knee, open up the hips, press the ground away. Step the left foot through between your hands, easy twist. Rise up onto your right fingertips. Circle the left arm all the way up and around. Exhale, left hand down, and again. Inhale, circle it up. Exhale, circle it down. Turn in to face the right side of the room so you can see the backside view of this. You can have your hands stay on the ground for as long as you need to. Option to flex the foot or keep the toes down and maybe the hips just slightly more risen. If you can, bring your hands together in front of your chest and press down through your heels of both of your feet. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, bend the left knee, sit. And again, inhale, rise up. Exhale, down. One more time. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, down. Hold it down. Reach the arms out in front of you. You may lean forward, totally fine. Just get that nice sensation in the spine as well. And we'll go back to the front of the room into twist. Pivot up onto the back tiptoe, right hand to the ground. Circle the left arm all the way up and around. Left hand down. Straighten up your left leg. Little bend in the knees, totally fine. Just keep the hips high and try and press your fingertips into the floor. Inhale, pull forward and out through the crown of the head. And exhale, belly towards your front thigh. Relax your head down. Bend the knees, plant the hands to the floor, step your left foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, ripple forward into high plank. Exhale, ripple back, downward facing dog. And again, inhale, come forward. This time, let's go back into tadpole. So drop your knees. Take your knees as wide as you're happy to. Toes together. Tilt the tailbone up towards the sky, almost like you're trying to do a cow pose with the hips high, chest forward. Start to walk your hips back, still a little bit of space between the bum and the heels. And if possible, reach the hands out in front of you. Breathe in, chin or forehead on the floor, whatever you're most comfortable with your neck. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Slide the hands back underneath your shoulders. Squeeze the elbows in. Press the chest up. Squeeze the thighs in. Great job. Tuck the toes. Come back into downward facing dog. Again, lift the right leg up towards the sky. Maybe shake out your right leg. How is the thigh feeling around now? Lots of attention to the hips. Circle one way. Circle it the other way. Step the right foot through between the hands. Let's come into warrior two. Ground your back heel down. Open out the arms. Okay. So again, it's quite similar to Skandasana, only that back foot is definitely down. We're up a level, but we still bend into the right knee. And if you need to adjust your stance, anything you're wearing, it's totally fine. Little pulse in that right leg. So we want these muscles to be really switched on. Ready for us to focus on some length soon. So for me to know when this thigh is switched on, grab the thigh, give it a little bit of a squeeze. And when it's really contracting, you'll know about it, of course, and you can feel the muscle harden. To know that when the hamstring is switched on, bring your hand underneath the thigh. Just give it a little bit of a squeeze again. Focus on pushing down your heel bone. And imagine you're trying to drag the heel bone back. And maybe that just activates it a little bit more. You can bring your right hand onto the inside of your right thigh and press those 2 points into one another, create a little bit of resistance, and then take it to the other side. Right hand to the outside of the knee, press. You might feel something in the glute there. And then open the arms, nice and wide. Inhale, straighten your front leg, arms over the head. Exhale, rebend the right knee. Try and get that same sensation. And again, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, arms down, bend the right knee. Great job. Now inhale, reach the arms up. As you exhale, bend your right knee and tip your torso straight forward, in between the legs. Inhale, arms up over the head, straighten the right leg. Repeat that. Exhale, bend the right knee, tip the torso forward, the bum will push back. Long in your spine. Another way of doing this, which is really nice, is to interlace your fingers behind the head. Do the same thing. Push the head into the hands, open out the elbows wide, tip forward. Now come up into a warrior two with the hands behind the head. Keep the right knee bent, engage the glutes, and tip the right elbow over to your right thigh. Inhale, bring it back to center. Exhale, left elbow to your left thigh. Back up to center. One more each side. Take it over to the right. Inhale. Take it over to the left. Great job. Now release the arms. In your warrior two, can you bring your hands to the floor? Can you walk your hands a little bit further forward? Can you press your hips back? You may need to adjust the foot slightly. Breathe in. Breathe out. Walk your hands in. Open out the arms. Back up, warrior two. Now I know those legs may be burning right now. Straighten out your right leg. Turn the right toes in. Take it to the other side. Left foot turns out. Bend your left knee. And just give it a little bit of a pulse. Adjust your feet if you need to. Now get low in that left thigh. Squeeze the thigh muscle. Notice how it is responding. You need to go a little bit deeper, maybe go a bit deeper. You can always pull back. Take your left hand underneath the thigh to the hamstring. Give it a wiggle. Press down your heel bone firmly. And imagine you're trying to drag it back. Left hand to the inside of your left knee. To the outside of the left knee press. Arms open. Hold that there. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale, straighten the left leg, bring the arms up over the head. Exhale, bend the left knee. Find that same sensation, that same intensity. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Inhale, rise up. Hold the arms at the top there. As you bend the knee, tip the torso forward. Doesn't matter how low you go. Inhale, lift up. Your spine is important to me here. So as you bend your knee, you tip the torso forward only to the point that you think, okay, that's about it. Otherwise, my knee might start to hurt there. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, down. We'll do it again with the hands behind the head. Arms up. Interlace your fingers behind the head. Push the head into the hands. Bend the left knee, resist. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale over. Now keep the legs in warrior two. Lift the chest up, keep the hands behind the head. Exhale, tip your left elbow towards your left thigh. Inhale, back up to center. Exhale, right elbow to right thigh. Inhale, center. And again, one more time each side. Exhale, over to the left. Inhale up. Exhale, over to the right. Inhale up. Release the arms and try and take your hands to the floor. All the way down. Walk your hands perhaps out in front of you, maybe out to the side if you prefer. Just one breath in. Exhale, hands back. Slowly bring yourself up. Whew. Warrior two, straighten the left leg, turn the left toes in. Now hold this here. Prasarita Padottanasana, wide-legged forward fold. Turn your toes ever so slightly inwards. Call it pigeon-toed. You can have your hands on your hips. Bend your knees a little bit. Lift the chest up, breathe in, and with those knees very slightly bent, preferably in line with your ankles, push your bum back. Now I'm going to turn so you can see the shape of the body. Knees slightly bent, but not kind of shifting all the way forward. Keep them in line with the ankles so that it's hip driven. Push the bum back, tip the torso forward. It's not that you can't bend those knees forward, it's that this is really going to target the inner thighs. Now come down to about halfway. Press down through your heel bones, but root down also through your big toe. You can keep the arms where they are, or reach the arms out in front of you. Now you can imagine if you flip this so that you're sat on the floor, this is a pretty deep forward fold. Start to bring your hands towards the ground. Still reach the fingertips forward, maybe even have your hands up on a prop or a chair. At the same time, you are still pushing your bum back. Inhale. Exhale. Take it into a little twist here. Left hand pretty much directly underneath your face. Right arm up towards the sky. Twist. Exhale, switch. Right hand down. Left arm up. Breathe in. Exhale, left hand down. You can stay here for a couple more breaths. If you can take your forearms to the floor, you're more than welcome to take the forearms to the ground. If you prefer to take your hands around your ankles or your toes, you're welcome to take this forward fold from here. Attention to the spine, tiny little bend in the knees, tilt the tailbone up towards the sky. And then wherever you are, wherever you've chosen to be for a moment, start to walk your hands back underneath your shoulders and walk your hands over to your right foot, so the original front foot. Step your right foot back, downward facing dog. Inhale, let's come forward, high plank. Exhale, lower your knees, come into a regular child's pose so you can feel the difference between your tadpole and your child's pose. Your feet can be together, your knees can be apart, but let the bum sit back onto your heels, and actually the spine is rounded. So that's a really big difference between your child's pose and your tadpole. In child's pose, you really allow the spine to round, whereas in tadpole, it's a little bit more active in a way. Give yourself a few breaths here. And we're coming a little bit closer to our wide seat. We'll stay on the ground. So use your mat sort of widthways. So you can just bring yourself down onto your bum. Now I'm going to take my left leg out to the side and bend the right knee. So we're going to take a half butterfly. Few different ways that you can take this with your right leg actually. Now you can keep the right knee bent, heel up towards the groin, and you can take your left hand down by your left shin and reach the right arm over the head. Or my personal favorite is to actually internally rotate this thigh, this right thigh. So you'll internally rotate the thigh so that the knee comes down and the right foot is next to the right hip. And then try and take your left hand underneath your right thigh. So you're kind of sitting on that hand. That way you can bring the forearm down to the inside of your left leg and reach the right arm overhead. So this, if you have this lateral flexion, this side bend with your spine and with your hips, is a really beautiful stretch. Absolutely. If this is too much, you don't have to be holding the foot, or you can stay in that original half butterfly over. Completely up to you if you've internally rotated the thigh, if you're going all the way for the foot or not quite so much. Try and get that spiral in the chest as well. And then slowly, slowly exhale, start to lift your head up. And we'll switch that straight away to the other side. Right leg out to the side, bend the left knee. You can try a little bit of both those options with the leg and see what works for you. Right hand or forearm down, left arm over, or internally rotate your left leg. Right hand underneath your left thigh, forearm straight down. You're going to the inside of the right leg. Flex the right foot. Maybe we can grab hold of it. Left armpit up to the sky. You decide. You play around with it. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then slowly release what you have with your arm. Support the head up. And then take the legs out wide. Now, before we go for our full-on wide stance, or wide seat even, bend your knees, flex your feet, and hold on to your ankles. So you can decide how wide you want your legs to be. Keep the feet flexed. Now, from the side, it's probably better to see the spine. Jam the heels into the floor. Hold onto the ankles. Get the sit bones onto the ground and pull up through the crown of the head. So we create a nice long spine. Now hold that there. It's kind of like a malasana if you flip it around. So malasana being our yogi squat. Try and keep the spine long, shoulders back, collarbones broad. And then from there, trying to keep your spine in this same beautiful shape. Extend the legs. Doesn't matter how wide. Doesn't matter how wide they go. Your sit bones are in the right position right now. You can take your hands onto your shins, maybe onto the floor. Upright, hold it upright here. Now, if you have a real tendency to round your lower back and you have a cushion or a blanket nearby, sit on that. lift the hips slightly so that you get that gradual tip forward. Now, once you're there, everybody, arms up over the head. Now I'm going to turn back to face you, but this is the position of your arms overhead, legs as wide as you're happy to have them. Don't base them off mine. Find the sensation. Flex the feet, spread the toes. Now start to tip the torso forward by about 1 centimeter. Arms in line with your ears. Now, in all honesty, we're probably only going to be able to go a little centimeter or 2 forward before we begin to lose the pose. Some people may be able to go completely flat as a pancake down here. By all means, if that's you, you go for it. Keeping the arms up over the head is what's the challenging thing. Now, if you do want to go a little bit further forward, but the arms are really holding you back, just give it some time. And then eventually bring the hands down. You can walk your hands out wide. I like to really press down through the fingertips. And what's quite nice here is you can inhale, chest up. Exhale, bend the elbows, chest down. Inhale, up. And really respond with the breath. Exhale, down. You can also do this with your hands out in front of you. Maybe forearms down. And lift. So this is actually a really nice way of getting into it, adding a little bit of movement to it. Or if you know that you're all the way down in this position, you can use a prop underneath the head, you can lower the forehead to the hands or all the way to the floor. But ease yourself into it. If you're feeling this deep forward fold, which this absolutely is, being at this kind of right angle position, then stay here. And eventually you can absolutely point the toes, floint the toes, rotate the ankles a little bit here. There's still a sense of lift as you surrender forward, as you yield yourself into the pose. And take another final breath in wherever you are. And a final exhale wherever you are. Start to walk your hands back if you've come all the way down. Now this is what we do it for, the sensation when we come out of the pose. So now you can kind of lean back. Tailbone will kind of tuck under slightly and start to squeeze the legs in. Excellent job. And just give them a little bit of a shake. Windscreen wiper it out. Shuffle the legs around. Shake it out. And then we're going to take it down onto our back. So you can swing the legs over to one side. And lower your back to the ground. Hug your knees into your chest. How does it feel? It's a really big pose. But every time that we practice things like Skandasana or even Warrior 2, we are getting into that region. We are getting to that area. The inner thighs. But ultimately, it's not just the inner thighs that we're getting into. We want to open up the belly. We also want to lengthen the spine. You can absolutely bend the knees. If ever you're feeling any pain, then we pull back, close the legs up a little bit, maybe even roll up a blanket underneath the knees so that we can elevate them slightly and find a bend. So as you're lying down here on your back, open your thighs out, almost like that tadpole position has flipped round. But this time grab hold of your ankles. So your forearms are now resting on the inner thighs and sway from side to side. Rotate the ankles, maybe even just close the eyes for a moment. You can extend one leg out. You can hold the heel and extend it out. Keep the spine long against the ground and switch. But if you've had enough of stretching the inner thighs, then you don't have to take this. This is really an option. Some people may want to take both the legs out wide and recreate that Upavishta Konasana, but Supta style, lying down, supinated. Whenever you're ready, squeeze the thighs back together again. Take your feet about as wide as the mat and tap the knees in to touch. Hands can rest on your belly or arms out by your sides. Give yourself a moment. We've worked a lot into external rotation of the hips and of the thighs. Now we just want to rest here in the opposite position for a moment. So we need the whole body to work together as one. We gain this full awareness, embodiment of our bodies, of our practice. So that we can really benefit from it, and we can really grow with our yoga practice, with our asana practice, our physical practice. And very often, whatever we are experiencing mentally and emotionally, we do carry physically. If we're very emotionally drained and tired, the body may be feeling very similarly, and vice versa. And heel toe the feet together. Roll over to one side, left or right, doesn't really matter. And eventually bring yourself up into a closing seat. Somewhere in the middle of your mat, perhaps knees together, kneeling down. Close the eyes and take a final big breath in and a big breath out. Thank you so much for joining the Upavishta Konasana, seated wide-legged forward fold. It's a big one, so just walk around today and notice how your legs are feeling and the hips are feeling, and we just keep that practice going. Doesn't have to be every single day, just make it manageable for yourself. And when you come up against this pose sometimes in your Vinyasa classes, then we know a few variations, we know what we're in for, and some things that we can practice at home. So thanks for joining. Check out the other classes in this Strengthen to Lengthen series. A lot of hamstrings, a lot of also back bending, so great for this particular pose too. Thanks for joining. Let me know how you get on in the comments below, and please do subscribe to my channel. Really appreciate the support. Take care.